Thank you for watching the replay. Thank you for being here and sharing any of your thoughts either on the scope or at box_edge on Instagram or Twitter. So I could not think of a question of the day, which is so surprising because I always have things to talk about, but when I read today's quote, I didn't think of something to talk about. So that's why I want to know what you want to talk about as I drink my tea. And I only have 15 minutes today before I have to leave to go teach, so I'm going to have to stay honest on that because I really do have to go to the library and also to the post office before going. So, the day that I leave the questions open for what should we talk about, there's nobody here. So I guess I'm going to have to choose what to talk about. Dang it. But let's read the quote first. Hello, Live Young Fitness. How are you doing today? I'm about to read the quote of the day. I'm glad you're here. So the quote of the day is coming from the Inspiration Book with Zig Ziglar. You can find it on my blog, boxedge.org. So, Live Young Fitness, what should we talk about today? I am all yours to have a discussion until 4:30. So the quote of the day is an anonymous quote, and it says, "Don't be afraid to take a big step if needed. You can't cross a chasm in 2 small jumps." So, I don't know what a chasm is, but I'm guessing some of you probably do. But the point is that sometimes you may feel like you're like reaching too far and you're going to try to do something like totally ridiculous, crazy, but it may be needed because you might not be able to get to the point in your life that you want without making that huge leap, you know? And hi, Evelyn. Yeah, cool. So I'm waiting for y'all to tell me what would you like to discuss today, because today's quote like makes sense, but I didn't really know what to ask you, so I figured sometimes I like to hear what you want to talk about and give that to you, because I don't necessarily want to always be telling you what to ask yourself. But the quote, in case you missed it, is, "Don't be afraid to take a big step if needed. You can't cross a chasm in 2 small jumps." Hi, Arlen. And I have until 4:30 to talk to you about whatever it is that you want to talk about. I almost asked about fear, but I know that we've talked about that before, so that's why I kind of wanted to know, like, if there was something on your mind that you wanted to discuss too that maybe we haven't talked about yet. My screen is like really dim, so it's kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can get it a little bit brighter. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that lately. Alright, cool. I have plenty of battery, but I have 9 minutes left. So, while you type up what you want to discuss or things that you've been looking into talking about. Yeah, it was just I couldn't read the comments because my screen was like super dim and the bright light is like in my face. Negativity. Okay, we could talk about negativity. And okay, yeah, that's a good one, because you know that I try to stay very positive, but I've not always been that positive. Unfortunately, much of my life, I would say that I'm a pessimist because I can see things very clearly, so sometimes I would get discouraged in the past by, like, the real, raw, like, reality that's around us, and that would be because I strive for everything to be so amazing that sometimes in the past I'd be very negative because I would be disappointed that not everything else was amazing. But I'm letting go of that mindset more and more every single day, and it's hard. It's very, very tough to not be discouraged. And one way that I was able to kind of get past it is I see life as like this equal balance where it's never going to be just all good. I don't really believe that the world will ever just be perfect, because that's not really natural. If you look in nature, there's good always, and then there's like bad. And what I mean, exactly. And we read that. So Arlen, if you're not part of the book club, we're reading Daring Greatly right now. I haven't really been able to do the blab. It's out of my time range right now. But, you know, I listened to the whole audiobook already, and yes, I'm losing sight of, like, what she said, but I remember, like, feeling like, yes, this girl gets it, and it was so true. And so, if you think about nature, like, there's positive forces of nature, and there's negative forces of nature, and negativity is always going to be there, because that's just something that exists. Like, you can't have an atom without the positive whatever and the negative electrons. You know what I'm talking about? It's a balance. And so I think that, Evelyn, what you probably mean by your question is, like, how do we become balanced with the negativity and the positivity? Because if you find somebody who seems only to be positive, chances are that you're not seeing the part of their life that is also negative. Everyone has a negative part of themselves. It's nature. But if they only focus on the positive and accept that there is going to be negative in life, then it makes it seem like okay. It's for those who, you know, that there's people, I have a few in my life, that honestly they have really amazing lives and like so much great stuff that I can see from a person looking out, but in their eyes, all that they see is the negative. All they see is the world crashing down on them, and they see all the, like, unfortunate events. I have cat hair in my face. I'm sorry, guys. They see how things could have gone and how they wish they would have gone, and all they can think of is how horrible their life is. You use negative as a tool to help me learn, and then use it as a positive. Yes, you can transform that energy. You try not to think about the negative thoughts, because I believe I'm bringing it because I am thinking it, if that makes sense. Yes, I understand what you're saying. Yes, and negativity will just keep spurring negativity, and if you can counterbalance, so, like, the whole concept, like, how do you fight fire? You don't fight fire with fire, right? That would just give you a lot more fire and a whole bigger problem. Instead, you have to fight fire with water, maybe? Or if you've got, like, a grease fire, you're gonna need some flour. But you don't fight the same thing with the same thing. And that's exactly what many people, my friends, I mean, I'm not even going to name names because there's just a few that are people that I love so dearly in my life, but I try to fight their fire for them by being their water, and it's fairly tough. It's not ever going to help. Like, they're going to have to find their own water to fight their fire, but I can see the water in their life, and I can see the positivity in their life, so that's why I am there with them. However, I wish that they understood the concept that if you are seeing negative things happen in your life, and then all you do is feel negative, talk negative, actually they fight fire with fire. It stops the progress of the original fire. Oh, dang it. I didn't know that. Good thing you knew this. I imagine if Polo was in here, he would also have told me that. Okay, so then I like that, though, Arlen, because that's another good point. And actually very much how I live. So, option 1. You can fight your fire with the water. You can you can bring positive thoughts into your mind while you're in that fire and allow that to cool you inside. That would be the one way to fight it. Or, I like how Arlen's saying, like, to, like, completely, like, exhaust it, to just, like, burn it to the ground. Fight it with more fire. And a few times in my life, that's totally what I've done. If something is so big, like so overwhelming, use negative as a stepping stone instead of stumbling block. Yes, exactly. And even whenever you're fighting it with water, I don't think that you should see it as like, this is a fail, like in my life. You should see it as like, okay, here's what's going on. I would like to balance this out by thinking also about a positive so I can see like both sides of the coin. Not necessarily like, bad, this is bad. Don't judge it, just see that it's there and try to see the opposite as well so that mentally you may feel a little more balanced. But with the fighting fire, so a few times there have been like really intense feelings in my life and there was like no water inside. I could not find anything positive to try to counterbalance. Hi Dream Upright, how are you doing? I couldn't find any positivity in my life to counterbalance the negativity in my life, and I could see that it was just like part of what was going on, and I understood. Hi, so your name's Getty? Cool. I could see it was just part of my mind just taking over, but I couldn't figure out how to find that like calm again. It was like really extreme. And yes, I noticed that in order to get it back to like a happy medium again, I almost had to like get more angry and like it just had to explode and I had to let it all out. Oh, hey, okay. I was like, I've never met anyone named Getty. And it's really hard because you feel like you're just going to have this mental breakdown and you feel like everything is going to just fall into shambles, but it's kind of like a black hole or like a star just like really getting like intense and crushing into this little tiny ball. And then once you finally like get to the root of it by like adding fire and fire and fire, then all of a sudden it just like explodes and it's like gone. And you're like, oh, that never really mattered. It was just in my head. I just had to like fight it with more fire. So I like that you said that. Hey, Sean. I like that you said that, Arlen, because definitely a few months ago when I was way on fire, I was very not positive and there was a lot of negativity running rampant in my mind. I pretty much couldn't balance it out with positivity, and as much as I tried, it was more just exhausting, and it was like all of my water was running like empty because it wouldn't work to hit the handle. Yeah, too hot to handle. Exactly. Hi Lisa, how are you? So instead it was like I had to go into this really dark and like deep place, and I didn't know if I was going to survive, but it was really hard. It was hard. It was crazy. Like, it felt so overpowering. But the whole time, like, even though technically I was, like, sad, and I know most of you would see that as bad, but, like, it was so, like, sobering. Like, I felt so aware, even though it was, I just wanted to cry, I just didn't want to even be anymore. It was like, because I was there, I could just see how the reality truly was, and it made me free from all of the other, like, unimportant stresses that a lot of times we just accept into our life. And then I saw the really big picture and could see that, okay, I have seen the total dark side of the moon, and I will either stay here or I can just really get down deep into it and then be able to accept it and move forward to the brighter side. And that's what happened. And there was no telling. I might not have been able to do that. And I think that having people to talk to about this, such as like how I'm talking to you about it, or like meditating about it, and rather than judging it and saying like this is terrible, like my life shouldn't be like this, I shouldn't feel like this, that's really what would probably make you not want to like live through that and make you feel weak. Instead, if you just say like, okay, why am I thinking this, or what's bringing this on, egging this on, and why does it feel like so intense? And looking at it just like in a non-judgmental way, then you can like get past it and then eventually add back in that positivity. A walk on the dark side can be an eye-opening experience. Yeah. And it's hard for me to talk about because, you know, a lot of people, they don't understand that whole idea. Except do an inventory, change. Exactly. And that's what I did. I had to say, okay, there's all this negativity in my life. Here's all the things that led me to this point. What was really needed, and what can I like get rid of? What can I look at in a different way? Or what can I add? And here's what I did. Let's see what time it is. Let me make sure oh my gosh, it's already 4:34. I'm so bad with time. Okay, I'll tell you what I did and then we're gonna go. So, I was really depressed. I was suicidal. I called my mom's insurance hotline and they set me up with a therapist. So that was like my first option because I really had no idea what to do. Once I saw a therapist, she helped me learn how to meditate. I had no clue what I was doing and I was really bad at it, but I could tell from the moment that she had me do it, I could see how it was like, it was intensifying that feeling, but I could tell I was getting down into like burning off all the BS surrounding it and finding what really was causing it. So then I found that, I meditated and found, hey, we're almost wrapping it up. So we're talking about how we take our fire and our negativity in life and just burn it down to the roots so that we can find the positivity again. I found what was causing it. I took an inventory, like Sean was saying. I like that that wording that you used. Yeah. I found that a few of my friends in my life were no-go, like too negative for my positivity to balance out. So I either eliminated them, I just drifted away. I wasn't rude or anything, so I either stopped talking to them or I limited the time around them. A few of them I might have seen a lot, and now I might see like once a week or so, and now I can balance it out. There were some things of work that I was doing that I could find that was causing that pressure and that BS to build up around this issue. So I dropped it. I left it and I said, okay, you know, thank you for the opportunity, but I'm going to have to look other places and do something else that is not going to make me implode. I looked at my relationships with my family and my boyfriend. That was the main core center, and I had to put limits on that too. My family was putting a ton of pressure on me, and they weren't trying to. It's just, you know, a habit that they accidentally built over time, and I had to tell them, okay, this is my line. I will be here for you up until this line, but after that, I'm saying goodbye, okay? I know. And you can respect it, and we can be a happy family, or I will just have to choose not to speak with you anymore. And honestly, sometimes I have to limit that, and they are not in my life. And then with my boyfriend, I've said, okay, I see how I allowed this to consume my mentality. I just was so absorbed with it that it was taking me to a really deep and dark place because I wasn't loving me. I was just literally gushing out all of my positive water on, that sounded terrible. Scratch that. I was just giving my love so much that I was running dry of positive, like, emotions. And he had nothing to say because he needed it, but he needed to get it from himself, you know? And so I said, okay, we have a big, like, change coming, and I'm going to focus on me, so I focus on me every single day now, and I see him once a week. That's it. And I have enough positivity built up in me. You need to do this. I need things to change in my life. See, it's all up to you, Evelyn. And I did it, and it was very hard. It seemed like it didn't make any sense, and the mind like hated it because it could tell it was like a flea or like a roach seeing the spray bottle come out, and it started like running rampant, like, no, don't kill me. And so it's gonna feel like that, but I knew I had to do it because I had gotten to that really deep and like just core part of that negativity that I could see that was necessary. So that's what I did, and that's what I do. I'm not done. You can give care to people, don't take care of people. Thank you. That's my mantra. Yes, I agree. And I give care now, but I don't take care. If you want to be negative and you want to feel that way about your life, then go right ahead. It's not any of my business. The 4 Agreements book, don't take anything personally. That really is like the one that keeps me on point of that idea. Okay, and then I started yoga. I created a habit for myself to stay focused on the balance of the negativity and the positivity. I start talking to you about things that are honestly negative. We talk about not such happy things. And why do we do that? So that I'm not sitting blissfully doing yoga saying, oh, downward dog is my favorite position ever, and I don't have a care in the world, because that's not true. I would go home and then be like, I hate my life. Okay, so I'm not going to just act like everything's fine and dandy. So we talk. I know. We talk and we bring up the negative because that's part of life, and then we release that and accept that it's there, and then find the positive. And like the yoga helps me feel better. It brings that like positive energy to me. With that balance, you are better grounded. Exactly. And now I'm more stable. I rarely cry, and if I cry, it's about really silly stuff like a dead cat in the road or something. I hit a baby raccoon this weekend and I almost cried. I was so sad. So, but that's how I found the balance. You have to accept that there is negativity, but you have to find that positivity to balance it out. And sometimes you have to find all of the negativity to see how much positivity you need to bring in. And guess what? I need a hell of a lot. I needed all those hearts and all that love, okay? So I totally ran over. What a big surprise. But luckily, I'll be fine on time. I try to give myself an earlier time limit than really need. You must acknowledge the negative, yet never accept it as truth. Exactly. And honestly, the positive isn't really a truth either. The positive is always changing. So I know that might be like a total like brain crusher, but a lot of the good things happening in my life are not always going to be happy. So it's just life. You're just here in the middle. Good. Okay, good. I'm glad that you brought it up because I didn't know what you wanted to talk about, so I'm glad you suggested it. So let's end, and tomorrow we will do some yoga from the Yoga Yearbook. I don't know what time, probably earlier in the afternoon. And tonight I might start reading the Heart of Yoga book that I got because Jules suggested it for me. So we're going to be like reading it on Periscope. So if you see me come up tonight, that's probably what we're doing. Okay? Any questions before I have to go? Because I'm already late. Thank you for the hearts. And thank you so much for being here. Like, y'all are that positive energy in my life, like pulling me towards that and keeping me not on the dark side. Thank you. All right. Namaste. Love you. Bye. I can never do it from this high up.